Welcome, everyone, for being here with us today. It's a hard day, and it's made a little less hard through community. My name is Seema Reza. If we've not met before, I'm the CEO of Community Building Artworks. We are, of course, a nonprofit organization that got our start in the military healthcare system at Walter Reed and Fort Belvoir Community Hospital, where we learned that at the heart of community is communication, and at the heart of communication is knowing what it is that you contain. And we use writing and art workshops led by professional artists to help folks, including ourselves, to figure out what it is that we contain and communicate it to the people around us so that they know why we're weird and hopefully feel safe and comfortable enough to tell us why they're weird. And that is our definition of community, because community is the most essential thing. Bell Hooks wrote, "Beloved community is formed not by the eradication of difference, but its affirmation, by each of us claiming the identities and cultural legacies that shape who we are and how we live in the world." Having a community of people from a range of different backgrounds and subgroups in a time when it feels like we're being told to be only with people who believe as we do, who look as we do, is a radical and wonderful and extraordinary opportunity for me personally, and I think for a lot of the members of our community. Because what we hold in common here in our CBAW community, and I guess universally as our community of human beings, is a capacity to feel very deeply, which includes feeling deeply the loss and pain of those who we love. Memorial Day is an opportunity to center those who have fallen and the love that is the heart of our grief for them. The great value of days like today and communities like ours, places where we honor that capacity to feel by allowing ourselves to grieve in the company of others who may or may not feel the same or even similar grief, but who not only allow us to express our grief, but support us and celebrate the innate humanity that we express when we name our pain. Thank you for being here, for being a part of this community, for lending your ear and your heart. We encourage you to feel your feelings this afternoon. There is a value to that. We do a lot of avoiding of that. But together, let's show up for ourselves. We've got a really, really beautiful program for you with an opening by the one and only Ben Weakley, who's a poet, a veteran, an author. He's our director of development, and we're just so grateful for the ways that he personally upholds and builds community with us. Please welcome Ben.
Thank you, Seema. Thank you all for being here today. What Seema said in the opening, I think, is so important about how community makes these moments better. And I think a lot of times on days like this, on commemorative days like this, of the value of lament in our world and spaces that are open and welcoming of lament. So lament is defined as a passionate expression of grief or sorrow, an expression of regret or disappointment, or in possibly the finest traditions, a complaint. If you grew up in a Judeo-Christian tradition, some of the finest laments are literally complaints directly to God. And I think one of the things we're challenged by in our world today is the lack of space for lament, the lack of space for raw grief, raw pain, the expression, the passionate expression of grief or sorrow that does not have an answer. But community, true community, I believe, makes space for that. And so the poems, two short poems I'm going to read today come from that place and that tradition. This is Lament at the Fall of Afghanistan. And who is left to listen when we tell the stories of the dead? In the land without memory, in the country of of words that have no meaning, who remains to hear us when we speak their names, their lives dissipating as waves into the air? This is Lament, 2 decades in Afghanistan. O God of mountain roads, angel of narrow paths cut into limestone, God of villages without names, Lord of little huts made of mud and straw and clay, where are our soldiers now? O God of armored vehicles painted the color of sand and dust, God of belt-fed machine guns and Lord of recoilless rifles and rocket-propelled grenades, where have our brothers and sisters gone? O God of blast wave and steel, Father of tourniquets and quick-clot bandages, Master of the rotary wing aircraft with medical evacuation within the golden hour, what have you done with our beloved friends? Answer with your presence and do not turn your face away from us, O God of rusted shipping containers filled with printer cartridges and manila folders and meals ready to eat and corroding ammunition. Lord of the empty airfield at Bagram, who watches over all the folded flags and steel coffins. O Spirit of the ramp ceremony and angel of strategic airlift, when will we see our brothers and sisters again? Thank you. I'll be followed by Willie Young, United States Army.
Good morning. My name is Willie Young, served in the U.S. Army for 20 years. When I retired from the military, I spent more of my life inside the military than I had outside of the military. I end up inpatient hospitalized. That's where I ran into these fine individuals in the writing group, and they helped me to find that outlet where I was able to put my thoughts on paper, and it would help me to deal with things in a different way than I ever thought possible. I'm going to do 2 pieces that I've written. One is a piece that I actually did when I was hospitalized, and one is a piece that I've done recently. The old piece is titled Droplets. If I inked 3 tears high on my cheek, would you believe I could cry? If I drew 2 wings upon my back, would that mean I could fly? With a question mark on my forehead, would you still keep asking why? If I write forgive me across my chest, does that mean I'll never die? When I take the names of KIAs and scroll them on my arm, its length will make you stop and stare and cause you some alarm. Youngsters will clutch their mother's thighs, but I mean them no harm. I consider it a talisman, a twisted good luck charm. So when I take the artist's chair and lie down on my back, the tattoo gun will start buzzing, sounding the attack. The needles spit out many colors, reds and greens and black. but rip the flesh right off my bones, it still won't bring them back. This next piece, I titled Live by the Sword. I start this poem with something that we all have seen too often. So many friends, so many killed, so many flag draped coffins. So many hanging by a thread, all hooked up to machines. So many eyes closed, almost dead, their nightmares bred from dreams. Let's take it back to the beginning, a line drawn in the sand. A line of weapons built for winning, all waiting for a hand. A little line of little ones, all making one last wish. Significant others crying, hugging, sneaking one last kiss. So many times we've gone to war, but tell me what we've learned. The politicians play with fire and hope we don't get burned. We take our places, fight for spaces, so much give and take. 19th birthdays marked with battles, not with birthday cakes. So much training, so much practice, days and nights so long. Expectations way too high, now everything's going wrong. What are we all doing here? What is all this for? I want to go back to my family, don't want to fight no more. These people do not want us here. We can't tell who to fight. What if all that we've been told isn't even right? All the milestones over here are based on land we've won. But every man I'm shooting at is some other man's son. My battle buddy lost her focus and led to one small slip. Now her dog tags hang there memorialized from her rifle's pistol grip. Somewhere deep we realized that this could also be our fate. But Jesus help us, we can't sleep till we retaliate. We're out here fighting for our lives. This is not a fucking game. And even if we make it through this, we will never be the same. We've seen a lot of things. Those inner scars we have will never, ever heal. As a youngster growing up, I bet you thought you'd never kill. The time has come, our mission's done, and now we feel so alive. So we chalk up, grab our bags, so happy we survived. It's over now. Try to relax. You're finally back at your home station. But there's no slideshow to show off because it wasn't a vacation. I'll stop to think. I'll sip my drink. I'll hear the devil whisper. I'm cool by myself. I'm fine by myself. But damn, do I still miss her. So as the days go on and on, I'll try not to make a habit of counting the number of bottles inside my medicine cabinet. As I age, my mind may fade, my memories may sever. But even if I die tonight, these words will live forever. Can you please take these thoughts away, O Lord? Because we all know what happens if we live by the sword. Can you please take these thoughts away, O Lord? Because we all know what happens if we live by the sword. Thank you.
Powerful, Willie. Thank you. Tim DeFiore, United States Army.
I'm Kim. Joined this group in like 2016 when we just started hanging out at Walter Reed. We're all going through a lot of stuff, but we found a lot of community and like, I don't know, this sick sense of humor that even when you're like not allowed to have shoelaces, someone to resonate, cry with you, and like also just get you to laugh and have some endorphins at the same time. I just wrote this the last week, kind of as people were like posting on Memorial Day and what it brought up. And I appreciate my service. I really enjoyed a good amount of it, but just kind of the confusion that the fall of Afghanistan had. It's called I Hate War. I hate war. It's a different form of hate. When Afghanistan fell, so many were surprised. None of us were. We knew it would fall. We told them nothing would help. The Taliban came in and it was like we were never there. I wasn't surprised. I had already read the last page. I hate war for what it took from us. We were young, healthy, and full of life. We volunteered for an ideal we didn't fully comprehend. Freedom isn't free, but it's also not being threatened how we think. We fought, we lost, and now we're broke. The injuries we have cost too much. Hide your scars and just move on. To get you a healthy again would cost as much as a tank. I hate war for what it represents. There hasn't been a worthy war in quite some time. We deploy and are forced to lie on reports. From red to green, the slide says they're trained. A new unit enters, the slide turns red. The cycle repeats, except I can't fall asleep. Red to green to red, what's the point? We know it's covered in red, and red leaves a permanent stain. I hate war because it helped me so much. I went to school without loans and could afford to buy a house. We benefit so much for something so dumb. Disability pay, free license plates, and 10% off, a free meal on Veterans Day. I want to give it back, but they don't accept returns. I would do anything for us to have a clean bill of health. I hate war for the lies it tells, waged by the rich and fought by the poor. Fight for freedom, but was it ever at risk? We're the good guys, but who made them bad? We're here to help. I'm 24 and have a gun. Here's Freedom 101. Invade, take over, election. Now what? Why are we here? No, seriously, why? I hate war for those who we've lost. Emily, Kevin, Ann, and Jordan, Dennis, Dave, Rob, and Sal, Andy, Chris, Tony, and Jim. Gone too soon, and their families still mourn. Please make it stop. I don't want to fight anymore. I hate this fucking war. Thank you.
Kim, thank you so much for that. Next is Lesley Mose, United States Army.
Hi, everyone. Spent 34 years in the military, met all these wonderful people here in 2016, coming to Fort Belvoir. They have all become my family in a way that I'm able to heal. I'm just going to read one short poem that relates to something that has been an issue for a long time. So, the name of the poem is Greetings, How Are You? I often wish I could return to chili cook-offs and barbecues, positive news and positive views. Your leadership, as huge as your stature, surviving one disaster only to befall another. Still numb, so many years post-event that burned an image into my mind of a time when chili cook-offs were amazing. With you as the judge, the last time I laid eyes on your physical presence, your last words that day were, "This chili ain't hot." And your first words, always the same, "Greetings, how are you?" Now we can't call that number to your office anymore and listen to your answering machine, pretending that you're just away and coming back. We pray never to forget your voice.
Thank you so much, Lesley. Thank you for your powerful words. Next is Joan Green, military spouse of a Air Force veteran.
Thank you. I joined this group fairly late in 2020 when it went online, and I can honestly and have honestly said that meeting people through CBAW online has literally saved my life and my sanity. I'm going to read two things that I've written since the 1st of January of this year, and Joe Merritt's going to help me out with one small piece. Yesterday evening, while putting things back in order one more time, I found Dalton's special memory stash hidden in his baby book. There was a picture of the two of us taken in September 1986. Lord, I can't even remember being that young, that skinny, that sure of myself. I'll tell you what I do remember. I remember the night I met this man, his smile, snaggletooth, and completely open. That beard, never a turn on before, yet it begged for my fingers to run through it. We talked all night at Huddle House, think budget Waffle House. It never closes, and endless cups of coffee were a quarter. Somehow everything clicked into focus. I had met a guy who saw me, accepted me, loved me. Yeah, sure. 3 days later, he asked me to marry him. I made him wait 2 years for that. He never wavered. I never wavered. Little girls dream of knights in shining armor to rescue them from their dragons. This man knew long before I did that I did not need him to slay my dragons. I needed his love, encouragement, and confidence in my strength to comprehend that I can slay my own dragons. Thank you. I only needed a partner who believed in me. For 36 years, I knew what it meant to feel like myself. I no longer have a confident answer to what being myself feels like. So the time is now to refresh and reset myself. Ask me in a year what being myself feels like. I should have a clue. Joe Merritt has graciously agreed to read another special treasure that I found that day in Dalton's baby book.
Thank you, Joan. I'm going to be reading Dalton's vows. These were dictated as speech by a memory therapist in August of 2021. I'm going to Hawaii, a place I've never been, and I'm taking my wife of 34 years with me. How can anyone say it never works out? A beautiful place, the perfect place with my best friend whom I love. When I see you, I have 2 words to describe you: hope and love. You give me hope to face another day. You're the image of a new day for me. I cannot count how many times you picked me up, put me back on my feet, pointed me in the right direction again. I thank you every time. I cannot be where I am without you, and I refuse to be anywhere else without you. Dilly dilly.
Today we rode out Hurricane Ida in our Covington, Louisiana apartment, where 4 of our neighbors refused to leave because we had stayed. Today we learned that the only open airport was in Atlanta, Georgia. So we hurriedly packed and I drove through the night so we could board an early morning flight. Today we checked off a major bucket list item. We made it to Maui. Today we took it easy. We sat on the lanai and savored the ocean breeze, the crashing waves, the variety of people, and the unfamiliar scents of exotic flowers. Today, we ate a picnic lunch on that lanai. We held hands, smiled, and laughed at everything and nothing. Today, we set aside time for an extra long nap. It took all 3 of us to move him from the lanai to the bed. 4 steps for me required hundreds of shuffles, deep breaths, and pauses to gather energy. This evening, we renewed our marriage vows overlooking the ocean in Maui. We slow danced to the song sung along to a ukulele. He spun me, just like we had practiced for the past 4 months. Today, we spoke and hugged for the last time. Neither of us knew it was the last time, yet we cherished the moment. Today, I received the carefully folded flag and the gratitude of the nation. Today, I moved into a new place, mine alone. The furniture was a mix of ours and mine. Today I sat in a hospital ER explaining one more time the volatility of a 26-year-old man who grieves angrily and numbs himself with fentanyl and heroin. Today I was gifted a dog. Amber and I are training to become a handler service dog team for mobility support. I think we'll make it. Today, the judge finally listened. 12 months mandated rehab. The young man has time and support. I pray for his future. Today, I own both the blessings and the hope.
Thank you so much, Joan. Thank you for sharing. That was very moving. And thank you, Joe. Next is Donna Stove-Cody, United States Army.
Greetings, everyone. The reason I chose to spend my Memorial Day with you all was to remind myself of what this day represents and to do something new in my life with a community of like-minded comrades in order to show my appreciation for those who sacrificed their all, and so we can remember and never forget. We may never know all the names of the family members that are honoring or missing someone in their heart today, but they will hopefully know we are thinking of them and we share in remembering right along with them. I have written 2 poems that I'd like to read today. Some of us are too young to remember when this day was called Decoration Day, originating after Civil War in 1868. It's been spoken of the fallen soldiers. I'd say proudly that they all stood tall for God, country, and each other. Now their names are on the wall, given assignments and duty stations, following orders with no hesitation, defending our freedom to the bitter end, making new bonds with their new family and friends. No more civilians living on the block, moving into the barracks and weapons kept on lock. What was the mission and training for? Remembering codes and tactics and still not sure? This new experience was nothing less of giving their all and giving their best. We visit them every Memorial Day, so we never forget. Planting flowers and flags on their graves out of respect. Not everyone is cut out for this job type, and it's not a vacation, so don't believe the hype. It started from being in a house to living in the barracks, riding on a bus and then a cattle car. Did our decision mean we went too far? Left home with street clothes in a suitcase to now carrying a duffel bag on our back, filled with fatigue gear and bed linen for a bunk. Where's our closet? It's now replaced by a trunk. Where's the bathroom? You mean the latrine? All I hear is the drill sergeant screams. Can we go to the kitchen to get a bite to eat? Nope. You line up in formation, marching to a double time beat. You eat in a mess hall, and it better be fast. Not a luxury or anything you've seen in your past. Do we remember why we raised our hand to commit to something unknown, determined not to quit? On our roughest day, who do we get to call? No phones available, so on our knees we have to fall. The Army, the Navy, the Air Force and Marine. We have stories and trauma that civilians have never seen. Today, while flags are flown at half-mast, every grave will decorate from the first to the last. Not just today, but forever in our hearts. We hold dear their service and their sacrifice from the very start. As we learn to live without them in this new life, We salute them and their courage and their faith to remain in the fight. We remember. My second poem. We remember. A day we remember way back when soldiers fought a war to win. Fought for what? More love, more freedom? Or was it power over scores uneven? We left our homes and loved ones scared to hope and pray we'd get out of there, unharmed and alive with our limbs intact. Unfortunately, some of them didn't make it back. We stand today in honor of them all, some named, some unknown, that didn't make it on the wall, but forever in our hearts, in our memories too, knowing only a service member will relate to what we went through. I wonder sometimes who really made it out, those that are gone or us that are fighting this mental bout. You cannot unsee it, and it's always there. Behind suppression, medication, or a blank stare. We're veterans, we're soldiers, made to be tough. But war and trauma is the real rough stuff. The battlefield is not only in a foreign land, it came back with us in our minds and within. Our attitudes, our actions, and our times we're at rest, living a new reality and trying to cope our very best. Ashamed to show that childlike side, you hide and try to fight. But why, when our tears and emotions are a God-given right? Salute to every brave member that wore the uniform. Your courage to enlist displayed strength inside the storm. Thank you.
Beautiful, Donna. Thank you for remembering with us. Next, Kevin Basil, United States Army.
Thank you. Memorial Day is a quiet, reflective time for me. I usually stay home or maybe see a veteran friend or two. So doing this reading with CBAW feels like the perfect way to spend a couple hours today. I'm going to read two poems from my new collection, Midnight Cargo. The first is called Art Therapy, and it's actually 3 poems in one. It's written in 2 columns. The first column is after George W. Bush's Portraits of Courage paintings. And the second column is written after the Right to Heal campaign. And I'll read a note about that in a second. Or you can merge the 2 columns. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'll read from left to right. So the Right to Heal campaign. On March 19th, 2013, the 10th anniversary of the U.S. invasion of Iraq, the Organization of Women's Freedom in Iraq, Iraq Veterans Against the War, and the Federation of Workers' Councils and Unions in Iraq, represented by the Center for Constitutional Rights, launched the Right to Heal initiative. Iraqis, U.S. veterans, and their allies came together to demand the right to heal for war-impacted communities. So this is called Art Therapy. A stroke of blue. Cops march into position before a vibrant wash. Protesters in pepper spray goggles, determined eyes, unfurling a hand-painted banner, lines thick, wavy. We demand the right to heal. Smile scraped away. On a bullhorn, an Iraq vet reads statistics. God, it's too much. On birth defects, burn pits, rape, suicide. Shadows challenge the artist. A decade of bad decisions. Blame the father. On the sidewalk, a journalist interviews Maggie. What is my subject? Her shirt says, Veteran Against the War. Courage. First question, which one are you against? Paint the wound. An armored truck in MRAP creeps forward. Lay it on heavy. Built to withstand IEDs, craters of crimson. Today, it unleashes a demon's wail, splattering and dabbing, a high-pitched pulse, nausea and migraines. Okay, and the second poem that I'm going to read today also has a bit of context at the beginning. This is called The Rose Procession. On the 20th anniversary of the US-led invasion of Iraq, March 19th, 2023, a group of about 75 Iraqis, Native Americans, veterans, and supporters walked in a silent vigil through downtown Chicago to Lake Michigan to drop roses into the water in memory of the many lives lost to the war. The Rose Procession. The dancer, his scarf wrapped tight, Hussein is here. The artist, her hijab shielding the wind, Fema is here. The warriors, their poetry as witness, they are here. Each holds a rose, an intention like a flame. We stand atop a concrete pier, erected on sands, where humans once dipped their hands for a drink. Read the patterns of the universe, Menominee, Miami, Ho Chunk, and the Council of Three Fires, ceremonial shores, where today a cargo ship crawls across the horizon. An aquarium rises like a Roman temple, and tourists spike trinkets and candy. Vendors, joggers, and photographers stop to watch as one by one we walk forward, whisper a prayer, shout a song for anyone listening. The spirits, the lost, siblings, friends, limbs, paintings, weddings, answers, time. A rose dropped into the infinite waves. 20 years gone, 400 years gone. Tomorrow offers renewal. All we can accept is renewal. Lake of turquoise, azure sky, scarlet and white roses, like vessels on the rolling waters. We look up to face the harsh winds, our anger a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for sharing your words. Next, Raina Baron, United States Navy.
Hello. Thank you for allowing me to be here and to talk. Always appreciate the opportunity. I always like to use platform to highlight the issues of transgender veterans because I feel like it's a it's a very small community, and there are a couple of statistics that I'd like to share with you guys before I read. Currently in the active duty, these are from the UCLA Law School Williams Institute. There are currently 15,500 active duty transgender service members. That's a 0.6% of the total US Armed Forces. And there are over 130,000 transgender veterans. The most notable, I think, or one of the first most notable transgender veterans was a woman named Christy. After World War II, she transitioned, and she was featured in a New York Times article that was received extremely positively in the 50s. And I think that goes to highlight some of the things that are like, hey, we weren't afraid of transgender people until we were told to be afraid of transgender people. Also, a fun statistic, 21% of transgender people in the United States have served in the United States Armed Forces. That's 1 in 5 trans person. That's 1 in 5 in a minority group has served in the armed forces. Can you imagine that if for any other minority group? Anyway, my poem. What? You gonna cry? Shut the fuck up. Here, you want a straw? Suck it up. It doesn't hurt. Why isn't this working for you? It's obviously working for everyone else. I don't know why you can't get with the program. Look, it's easy. Left, right, left. All you have to do is fall in line. Anything other than first is last. The fuck, you feel disappointed? You're not supposed to feel. Man up. You're not sick. Stop malingering. It's just a little blood. Why do you have to be a little bitch about everything? Go back to your division. Again, look, it's easy. Fall in line. Left, right, left. Why? You're not happy? You're not supposed to be happy. You're a man. Get over it. What, are you tired? Get moving. Oof. Look at this deficiency. Now you've finally fallen out of line. Sometimes you have to destroy yourself to figure yourself out. It's a little short, but you know. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Raina. Thank you for your powerful words. And thank you so much for your wisdom. Next, Joe Merritt will be our final reader, United States Marine Corps.
Thank you, everybody, for being here, and especially thank you for all the readers and people that are able to put themselves out there. It means more than you probably know. Every year I say this is going to be the last Memorial Day that I do one of these events because it hurts so much, but it also feels real good, you know. I'm going to start off by reading a list of names because I think it's important. These names were from 2006 to 2011 from one battalion, 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines. Corporal John T. Olson, Lance Corporal Michael V. Postal, Lance Corporal Taylor Krasneski, Lance Corporal Marcus Mahdi, PFC Stephen Baldwin, Lance Corporal John T. Smith, Lance Corporal Robert Miniger, Gunny Sergeant Terry W. Ball, Lance Corporal Jacob W. Beisel, Staff Sergeant Eric A. McIntosh, Corporal Scott J. Procopio, Lance Corporal Tony Kim, HM Giovanni Padilla, PFC Chase Edwards, Lance Corporal Justin D. Sims, Lance Corporal Richard Zachary James, Lance Corporal Kevin A. Lucas, Lance Corporal Nicholas J. White, Corporal Riley E. Baker, Corporal Julian A. Raymond, Corporal Timothy DeRoos, Lance Corporal Adam R. Murray, PFC Enrique Sanchez, Corporal Joseph A. Tomsey, Corporal Chris Warndorf, Lance Corporal Al Fransconci, Lance Corporal Jesse Casada, Lance Corporal Julian Brennan, Sergeant David W. Wallace, Sergeant Trevor J. Johnson, Lance Corporal Kevin T. Preach, Staff Sergeant Daniel T. Hanson, Lance Corporal Daniel J. Geary, Corporal Michael Willett, Corporal Anthony Williams, Lance Corporal Blaze Oleski, Lance Corporal Andrew Carpenter. On dealing with grief, every day can be Memorial Day. And I thank everybody for hearing our laments. If I wrote as many plans as I have letters to my past, had I stuck to them like suicides in January, made them harsh realities of life and not notes of wisdom when it's too late. When you grow up and find these letters, you'll breeze over them before tossing them in the back seat next to fast food wrappers and empty packs of cigarettes. Instead, take the time to burn them, so at least their smoke will be acknowledged in your memory. Let destroying something you made save you from destroying what you can't recreate. Run your fingers through the ash. Draw crude maps because your paths are the only ones that you'll follow. When I grow up, the body count from my formative years will finally match my peers. I'll have an equal amount of loss as the folks I meet for coffee. When I need to escape the mausoleum of my collected lives, when I'm old, hearing that a friend killed themselves, will not be followed with, he had so much life to live. I'll smoke cigarettes and sip coffee in the shower and not wonder if I'm strong enough not to follow them. I'll know when I'm old that I can survive and that the true metal of resiliency, the days will not be wrapped up in stress about what I can give the world, I've already given. When I'm old, everyone my age will have stories of what they did in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Huge thank you to each and every one of our readers and each of you here in the audience with us. We'd like to observe a moment of silence now. So take a moment. If you'd like to add any names to the chat, please feel free to do so. Thank you. It was an honor to share this space with all of you. For the second year in a row, we gathered all month. A day is, as you know, is not enough. To Joe's point, every day can be Memorial Day. But for many of us, the leading up to the anticipation of the day of grief is also hard. So last year and this year, our very own Joe Merritt, who's our co-founder and vice chair, and one of my favorite people in the universe to bother, drew an extraordinary image that then our community came together to recreate in portions. And this year, our collaborative painting was completed by Alexis Laurier, Ben Weakley, Burge the Hammer Seakick, Bryson Langle, Diana Osborne, Edgar Russell, Elaine Gordon-Steele, Hazel Gordon Suppa, Joan Green, Leslie Hidalgo, Martha Peterson, Miyoko Bell, Natasha Lewis, Ray O'Haydin, Robert Mercier, and Sean Smith. And Ashley will now reveal it. That was amazing. If you're interested in purchasing a print of the collaborative painting, the link will be in the chat. Thank you for everyone who contributed to this, who's here today, and who makes this community what it is. We're so grateful to have a safe space to feel our feelings and to be a safe space where people honor us with their truth. Ashley's got some resources in the chat as well. Please do take care of yourself. You know, my advice is always go to bed as soon as you need to on a hard day. Sometimes I think when the grief becomes too much and you feel like you need to drink all the wine, that is the clearest sign that you should drink no wine at all and drink some water. Maybe move your body and know that this too, this surge of emotion will come back to a manageable level. It will. Thank you, Burge, for adding another name. Much love. We hope we see you in more programs this week. We're so glad to be with you.